So the doctor wasn't amazed that I was living. He was amazed that I was gaining weight. A lot of people get so focused on weights that they think that's the only way to do resistance training. I'm a real person meeting other real people who are influencers and movers and shakers. I knew what it was like to have a program that didn't work because it didn't consider where you were. So it didn't matter where they were, if they were elite or if they were remedial or in between, I could meet them there with respect, with dignity, integrity, compassion, and empathy, and help them achieve their goal and really exceed their own expectations.
What does failure, is knowledge mean to you?
I can fail, and because I fail, I can win.
Karlton, again, thank you. Thank you again for coming on to the Phase Knowledge Podcast. I just got one question for you. Why Weightless Wellness Boutique?
Well, I like to take the weight out. That's W-A-I-T and W-E-I-G-H-T. A lot of people get so focused on weights that they think that's the only way to do resistance training. And a lot of people create these exercise-induced illnesses from dysfunctional movement patterns. They're not doing exercise correctly. They're not using the appropriate amount of resistance. And so to get that out of the picture and move them toward wellness, I take a weightless approach.
I did a lot of research on you. And granted, like we know each other from 2022, when we met at the 10X All-American Speak Off. Mm-hmm. And as we met each other, like, don't get me wrong, like it was a couple years ago. I don't remember, but then I had followed you and I saw you do wellness, fitness, all these different things. But then when we moved to Tampa, when I moved to Tampa, we came to the Spartan Incubator Program. We re-met again. It was like, hey, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, because I saw you just like you were following me. Mm-hmm. I saw you actually doing stuff. A lot of people will learn information and sit on it. They will celebrate that they learned something. But just because you're exposed to something doesn't mean you're proficient. So to see you get down nitty gritty with it and it not work out the way you expected, and then you just regroup and tackle it again, that's what I needed to see. And I was always excited to see what you were going to, post and sharing that journey with us. Because some people are like, nah, when it's all pretty, that's when I'll let everybody see. You're like, nah, y'all come. However it's going to be, it's going to be. But if y'all want to take a look, you're more than welcome to accompany me on that journey. And that's what has helped me to stay motivated. Because it doesn't matter what I'm doing, I'm still human. Sometimes I'd be like, man, forget all that. But I see you and other entrepreneurs actually doing the work, and I can get motivated from that.
One thing that I learned from you is that you're very, very well connected. And you're not only well connected, you remember everybody that you come encounter with. But then as I was doing research, I was like, oh, that's why. You got a gallery of people that you remember. Why did you start taking a picture of people when you start going to networking events?
Because I didn't grow up where social media or social proof was that big of a deal. Like we collected stamps, we collected money, you went somewhere, you brought back some little souvenir. And now people are like, if it's not on social media, it didn't happen. And then when I began to understand the power of another brand's equity, I was like, oh snap, I need to be with this person. And if I get an opportunity, I want to make it somewhat immortal by capturing it in the picture and then just sharing. And so people can understand I'm not some weird guy that's just out here with this crazy ideal to get people in shape without weights. I'm a real person meeting other real people who are influencers and movers and shakers.
And you see, because I like how you explained, you took the weight list out and the resistance the resistance training, because you don't need weights to really train. And when I was in the service in the Marine Corps, all my friends was like, bro, why you doing resistant bands? I'm like, because it resists.
I'm looking for resistance. The bands have it, so it's a win-win.
And then that's when I started learning more about like kinesiology. No, not kinesiology. Kinesthetics. Yes. That's exactly what it was. And that's what you teach people with, is learn how to work out with your own body weight.
I want them to master the movement. So there's a speed of movement, there's a range of movement, and there is a path of movement. And if those aren't correct, and then you have the different contractions, the isometric, the isotonic, and the isokinetic, you typically have to find equipment that costs several thousands of dollars to get a isokinetic type of setup. But no, if you just control the rate of movement along that path with that weight, you're going to put the stress on the muscle instead of the joint. And I think with the bands, people don't understand that's a dynamic resistance, because the further you stretch it, the more resistance you create. So if you would have tried to initiate that move with that same amount of resistance, it wouldn't have budged. But now you have a mechanical advantage. The further your hands get away from you, you can handle more resistance. So you haven't torn up your elbows or your shoulders in the process. And so I think helping other people understand the benefit of how it can be small and mighty. Small little band. It could be pretty. It could be a mighty little partner in delivering some results.
Okay, you just spoke something about small and mighty, and before we even started the podcast, you used the example of the small and mighty effect behind it. Do you mind sharing that example? Because that was a phenomenal example that you used.
Well, the doors, and I got a chance to be on the ground in the Middle East, and they're known for their doors and these big ornate doors, and they've got this certain type of wood and the handles, but very few people examine the hinges. And without the hinges, the door ain't gonna work. And if you're trying to get access to someone, you have a doorkeeper, So, and I like to say, well, the doorkeeper's like the hinges. If you want to schedule an appointment with that person, you want to do anything with the person on the other side of the door has to open. And the hinges are what hold the door and allow it to swing open as well as closed. Too many times the door is closed, we want it to swing open. So we can't disregard those small little hinges, which may be the person that's taking your message when you go and they say he's not available. She's not available right now. I'm sorry I burned up some of your calories. I'm going to give you this Godiva chocolate and this premium blue water and a mint, because I don't want nobody to know your business that you had some chocolate. You make the appointment and you leave. So guess what? They're going to value you more because you value them. And as soon as you got an opening, or she has an opening in her planner, they be like, hey, Terrell, can you be free, next week at 10 o'clock? Oh, absolutely. Thanks for thinking about me. Appreciate you considering me. So those small hinges can open big doors.
And that makes sense of why you are connected the way you are connected, because you focus on the small details. You focus on paying attention to everybody that's around you. And then, because I don't know who said, I don't know who said it, but whoever said it was some great advice. But there was like, you never know when you're going to need the person. It's not the fact that you're doing something thinking that you're going to get something in return, but you're just being a good person. You're being a good person, and that you being a good person helps you be more connected.
They say what you want to do is modify the golden rule. Don't treat people how I want to be treated. Treat them how they want to be treated. So when I can find out what their language is, it may be acts of service. It may be words of affirmation. It may be physical touch. And you want to know, because you get it mixed up. Like I was a brand ambassador for Injinji, the toe sock company that sponsored me. And he said, do not grab a British person's foot. That ain't their language. You might want to try words of affirmation to acts of service, but you go grab their foot, you finna kill that deal. And it's the same thing in our entrepreneurial environment today. Some people don't like you in their personal space. Now, if you're a person whose love language is physical touch, you have to, use restraint and say, okay, let me get them a card. Let me get them a gift card to Chipotle. I know they like Chipotle. They may not want me sitting in their bubble while they had a Chipotle. It's like, hey, there's a new one now. It's closer to here. I was thinking about you. Here's a card. That's how they want to be treated, not how I want to be treated. So that's what helps me finding out, discovering those details about a person, because I want to remember their name. So there's something I can tie to their name that has some emotion that's connected to that encounter that will help me remember them and something about them. So I'm always trying to help myself trying to help me remember, and then in turn, it makes me memorable to them.
I did something on the lines of, I do something similar to that, but I was just doing it because I was a good person. And then when you start to get educated, go to college and start learn what you are doing, start to sit back and be like, hold on, I've been doing this whole entire time. I've been learning people's names, especially from the book from How to Win Friends and
Dale Carnegie.
People. Hey man, that was That was a cheat code. What the best? You gotta know people's name because the best sound to people is their name. And I'm like, what?
See, you were taught something or you caught it without a PhD. So I like to illustrate, it's about something, I'm not going to do it, but if you say, okay, touch your ear, I go like this. But someone has studied this austere way. They reach around here and through their leg and they come back over here. And it's like, I have 4 PhDs and they taught me how to do that. And it was peer reviewed. And you're like, you could have just did this. So it didn't take you having to be sit down and convinced because it was something you were doing because you're a good person. Like we used to say, you had some home training. Somebody that brought you up and said, hey, you be courteous. You introduce yourself. Like I didn't know to introduce myself. So I would meet people, shake their hand and start talking to them. And then they're like, them? It's like, oh yeah. I'd say we went to the first Ron DMC and Paparazzi concert and we were the only 2 in our elementary school to pass pre-calculus in the 3rd grade. I don't know the person. They don't know me. But we've had this little levity. And so people around us think we know each other. And then I'll see them again. And I was like, I don't know their names. So I'm just like, hey, what'd you think about that Paparazzi concert? And then eventually somebody will mention their name and then I'll go find them on LinkedIn. And it's like, okay, now I got it. Now I got their name. I know who they are, what they do. But yeah, you learned it without having to be convinced that it was necessary. Even people who read the book don't think it takes all that. So they're like, I ain't got time to be remembering nobody's name. I just remember their face. Okay, well, how you gonna feel when they call you by your name and then you sit there like, what your name is? What's the name? What's your name? It's not a good look. So I had to learn to introduce myself, give them my name, and then guess what? They were gonna give me their name. Because I had some people I was around, they would just walk straight up, stick their hand out, introduce themselves to the person. I was like, where you learn that at? And I know you shouldn't end a sentence with a preposition, but where'd you learn that? So it's important. And I'm just happy to hear that was something that you grew up doing. Because the more time you do something, the more proficient you are. Learn a new skill, you trying to go out and be the expert. They're like, you can't even stand up straight. What you? No, see, I'm sure I got to use this chainsaw on a ladder, and the first thing on the chainsaw says "do not use on a ladder." So it's like, I wouldn't do that. You don't have any experience. Might want to slow down. So you've had enough time to make it a part of who you are, as opposed to it seeming artificial.
Shout out to my mama who raised 3 boys by herself, and then she taught us respect, discipline. So when I went to Marine Corps training, discipline and respect was already there. Them other boys, man, I was mind blown. I'm like, y'all parents ain't teach y'all no respect. Y'all parents ain't teach y'all how to respect authority. What is going on? But they taught me something. The thing that it taught me is that everyone's not raised the same. And you just mentioned something about experience. You have countless amount of experience in wellness, in fitness. And when you started to really understand what you was doing, how did you get into the business that you're doing today?
I think because my background was so unique. Like I was born with a club foot and I developed, what is it called? Some stenosis, pyloric stenosis. So I couldn't hold down formula. So the doctor wasn't amazed that I was living. He was amazed that I was gaining weight. How is this infant gaining weight and he's throwing up this formula? Long story short, the cephalic response, the message was sent to the brain when the substance touched the tongue. And so the body is going to act like whatever that message elicited, which was, hey, we got food, go to work, start, growing. But I couldn't get selected for little neighborhood teams. So then I was a team captain of my wrestling team my senior year, didn't go to state, ended up in the Navy. Officer prep school, we had a PT test every Friday. So I'm starting to excel at the PT test, finally get to my first command, and I get the opportunity to work with Navy SEAL support. And of course, they assign me as the fitness instructor. I'm the top of the food chain. And then when I left there, I started working with the Navy's remedial program. So I have both ends of the spectrum, the elite warrior athlete and the sorry about to get kicked out of the Navy sailor. So when I came to the civilians, I knew what it was like to have a program that didn't work. because it didn't consider where you were. So it didn't matter where they were, if they were elite or if they were remedial or in between, I could meet them there with respect, with dignity, integrity, compassion, and empathy, and help them achieve their goal and really exceed their own expectations. Because it wasn't about me. I'm just here to help you. Where do you want to go? If you say you're going to Hawaii, I'm not going to tell you the 10 worst things about Hawaii. I'm going to find the safest, quickest route to get you from where you are to Hawaii. And that's what I do with people's fitness and wellness goals. Where you want to gain muscle, you want to lose weight, you want to burn fat, you want to move better, you want to move you want to move with less pain, gotcha. And I let their goals determine what I'm going to do instead of, oh yeah, I can bench 315, so I'm finna come in here and make you a bench press champion. They don't want to do that. So the ideal that I could come to the table with something that somebody wanted and needed. I said, well, shoot, this is what I love doing. And people are paying for this. Hey, let's go.
I like how you explain, you didn't say this, but you kind of said this, learning what your customers want. When you learn what your customers want, you give what your customers are looking for. Now, you start to learn more about the business side of the fitness. You start to learn more about the business side of the creative or the skill or the development. What was that challenge like? What was that challenge of going from the creative, going from the skill, going from the development? Now you got to learn how to market yourself, how to sell, how to learn operations, how to learn finances, how to learn legal, all the things that a business consists of. How was that journey?
You know, people say it made me pull my hair out. My hair actually fell out. I didn't pull it out, but the E-Myth, I'm the technician. That's all I wanted to do. Yeah. You know, I'd go to these seminars and they were talking about stuff, administrative stuff about business or developing yourself. And I was like, I don't need to learn how to talk to people, you know, get up on stage. I need clients. That's what I need. And so when I realized that that is essential, I had to shift gears and not just learn, but execute. Like I said about you, you will see what it takes and actually do it. You know, I'll make note of what it takes and just walk away from it. Like maybe somebody else will do it and it won't get done. So really looking at what Harvard said, the purpose of a business is to serve a customer. The purpose of a business is not profits. Profits are the result of serving that customer well. So I could accept the administrative necessities as part of what's going to allow my business to stand long term, and then it's going to allow me to serve people longer term. Because I talked to Bert and he was like, your business is like Dr. Frankenstein's creation. Because a guy paid me $30,000 for a year. An attorney paid me $2,250 for a 3-session masterclass. You know, and adults would write checks for $1,260 for me to train their children 2 days out of the week for 4 weeks. So it would produce a profit. I couldn't tell you how I got those clients. You know, I didn't have acquisition costs. I didn't do ads. You know, I was in a directory, and the guy who paid $30,000, he found me in the directory, national directory, reached out to me. I went to his house, and that was that. But I didn't know how to market myself. I thought marketing was a scam. No, there are scams that are being marketed, but marketing is a science. And I had to put aside my opinions and look at people like you and Monica who are marketing your business to see that great things need marketing too. Marketing just isn't for the shysters and the scammers.
Shysters. For the shysters is crazy.
Yeah. Because I see a lot of stuff and I'm like, it kind of irritates me because the public is being manipulated. There's certain psychology that's being used. And I'm like, that's not for the best interest of the customer. That's for the best interest of that company. And again, it doesn't mean that marketing is bad. It just means it can be used for benevolent reasons with good companies and what is it, beneficent? The bad, it can be used for bad with some people, it can be used for good with others. But it is, as a practice, marketing as an entity is neutral, it's amoral, it's not good or bad. What do people use it for?
That's like with, because I'm in school for business management, and my professor was like, what she say? Something about having emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. It can be used good or it can be used bad. If it's used bad, you're manipulating people. If it's using good, you're understanding people. And I was like, dang, it can. Oh, that's how scammers be scamming. That's how now everything's just starting to make sense. You just explained how you didn't really understand the importance of marketing because you thought it was a scam. But then you just mentioned that good things have to be marketed as well. So how do you market the good thing that you're doing for your clients?
Man, I'm still learning. I'm rebranding right now because I pushed against ChatGPT because I felt that I could run circles around ChatGPT, and I'm very competitive. You know, I don't have this collaborative mindset, but when I realized I could collaborate with ChatGPT, I could let it do the heavy lifting, and I could come around and do the fine tuning to make it my own. And so I'm learning that my past experiences, my credentials, different people that I've worked with is something the public would like to know about. Like, I just figure I'm just going to pursue the Olympics again, and that's all I need. People's going to be like, I want to train with that guy. No. They're not looking for a hero. They're looking for Yoda. They're looking for Morpheus. They're looking for Mr. Miyagi. So now I'm the guide, and I highlight the people that I work with. They're the heroes. I want them to uncover and unleash their inner hero. So it's about them. It's not about me. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm marketing the skills I have as a guide, not the skills I have as a competitor.
You're marketing as a coach.
Not the most fit grandpa. Nobody cares. But what they do care is I can train other grandpas to be great. Mm-hmm. Oh, now I care because I'm about to be 56. And I've trained people in their 70s, 80s. One guy was close to 90. Former Senator Cornelius McGillicuddy. They call him Connie Mack III. Old dude, but he was moving. So that's what they want to do. They want to be able to move and engage life and have a higher quality of life and achieve their goals, not mine. So I'm like you said, what do they want? Let's touch on what they want and let's help them make that possible, as opposed to, oh, here's another race I did. They don't care.
It gives you more credibility, though.
But I want to make sure I put things in their proper place and give the appropriate emphasis to what is going to help the customer instead of
helping yourself,
helping me.
Okay, we're gonna pause right quick. So there's a switch above the red dot right there. All you have to do is do you mind just flipping it off, then back on? You see the red dot right underneath it. Yep. Now it's off. Now you just flip it back.
Man, I hope people take advantage of the opportunity and the brand equity of failure's knowledge. You know, because like you see, if I'm online and I see Arnold Schwarzenegger, Michael Jordan, they embody your message. That's why I shouted out. I was like, hey, Terrell, this is you. They're your spokesman. What else needs to be said? Arnold Schwarzenegger, Michael Jordan. Like, Schwarzenegger and I had the same problem. The military is not about building bodybuilders. So he had to sneak out to go compete in his first bodybuilding competition. I was not supposed to be on the flight schedule. So the night before, we're at this little cookout, and folks that are on the flight schedule were drinking. And the standby was drinking. So they're like, Meadows, you got to fly tomorrow. I was like, no, I don't. I got a bodybuilding competition tomorrow. So I spoke to the mission commander, the guy who's in charge of the whole crew. He said, oh, no, we don't need you. We'll have this guy on board. So my command found out. Oh, they was hot. But it just shows that we had to be creative. Now, I took third in my debut, and I ran into other obstacles, but I didn't quit. You know, that the failure really, I found out how to become fluent in failure. how to anticipate it. It's coming. Instead of thinking that everything's going to be successful first time out, and then you get, like Mike Tyson say, you got to play until you get punched in the mouth. You get punched like, oh, forget that. Somebody else can have that. I'm playing safe from now on. I'm just going to get a job, let everybody else set the vision and the mission for the company, and let HR do all this stuff, and I'm just going to show up to work. Do just enough not to get fired and accept just enough pay that I won't quit. So I'm thrilled when I see people that have made them, they've carved out an enclave for them in their profession, and they're saying the same thing you are. Failure's a part of it. So if you learn from it, you're probably going to get to success a lot quicker, instead of looking at failure as the final destination. Oh man, I failed. That's it. Forget that. No. What takeaways can you derive from that failure? And then when you are confronted with that again, now you have a couple more options. Okay, last time I just went in straight. Okay, lean over to the left a little bit and then duck. Oh, wow, I got past that low-hanging branch on that sharp hairpin turn.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. And when you were sharing the story, I forgot to mention about sorry to like pivot the conversation just a little bit, but since the war is going on now, like do like a moment of silence for all the servicemen that's over there. So do like a moment of silence. Okay. I appreciate it. One thing I'm starting to learn is to pay attention to everything and then communicate. So what's going on now, I was like, man, that's crazy. That's devastating. I saw a post dude was 26 years old and he was in the Air Force. He ended up losing his life in the war that's going on now. I was like, man, I gotta like communicate about that. So I'm just learning how to do that. Yeah. So I appreciate that. The
relevance.
Yes, of course. You mentioned before we go on back on script, I want to go back off script, and I want to ask you, Karlton, I see that you do a lot of fitness, a lot of your content involves around wellness, all these different things. I want to get into wellness. I want to start doing it. And if I was new come to you, what are 3 tips that you can give me to get into fitness? Would it be fitness or to get into wellness?
I'm gonna have to create a word that encapsulates both of those.
Okay.
Because fitness contributes to your wellness. How your body processes or tolerates glucose and insulin, how your memory, how your cognition can be maintained or how it can diminish, comes down to what you do with your physicality. So if you're fit, if you are making sure you're developing your leg muscles and your back muscles, it's easier to develop your leg muscles. And that's going to help your body keep your blood sugar levels within a normal range. The more muscle you have, the less sugar is going to be floating around in your brains, because dementia and Alzheimer's is on the diabetic spectrum. So the better your body gets at utilizing glucose, the better off your wellness is going to be. So the two they're related. So what I would say is the first thing is to build a solid foundation. Can you move? Do you have adequate mobility in all your joints? And then what current issues do you have? Is there an imbalance? Is the right side stronger than the left? Is the right side more mobile than the left? So I'm trying to at least restore a more neutral posture. And then the strength comes in. So the first part is really stretch and then strengthen. And my goal is typically longevity and vitality. So together, those 4 would give me longevity. We got strengthening, stretching, longevity, and vitality. And starting with something that the person can sustain. So I wouldn't say, oh yeah, we're just going to get you ready for high rocks or the Spartan race or some extreme activity. What can you do a couple times a week and not get injured? And let's get you proficient, and then we can start combining things, simple things. So if you can do an overhead press and you can do a resistance band row, we can work the opposing muscle groups at the same time. We have you engage your lat and your deltoid. And when you finish, we just swap it out. So we don't have to take a break. We're training the body the way the muscles are actually designed and opposed to each other.
So just so I heard you right, just to clarify, identify where I'm at. So when I come to you, identify where I'm at, what can I do? And then what was the last one?
Getting proficient.
Okay.
So we're going to advance you and progress you as you get proficient, because if you try to build a skyscraper on the coffee cups of whatever brand of coffee you like, some folks say America runs on, not to throw out no names, but the point being, you cannot build a 60-story skyscraper on top of some coffee cups. So we want to make sure that the foundation will support the activity that the person wants to perform on top of it. They want all these exciting things. That's how you see basketball players come out of the locker room, dribble the ball, turn, and pop their Achilles tendon. They exceeded the material limit for that material. So the Achilles, they weren't doing anything, but the stuff they did before that, they didn't prepare. We call it prehab. I want to get the body moving so I can see how it functions before I start loading it. And some people will stretch and think that that's the workout, because I use what's called active isolated stretching. So when you flex your bicep, the tricep has to lengthen. It has to relax and stretch. When you flex your deltoids, your lats are going to, depending on how, so we're going to be working your anterior delt or your posterior delt. Typically, contracting or flexing the muscle on one side of the bone is going to relax the one that opposes it. So if we're working your chest, then you're probably stretching out your rhomboids, which is why you see people like this, because the rhomboids haven't been worked. So they don't pull the shoulder blades into that neutral position in the back.
That's crazy. When I was doing research, you got your degree in exercise science, right? I was going to do kinesiology, but I learned there was so much science in there. I was like, yeah, I got to get up out of here.
I just saw a PhD in kinesiology, and I was licking my chops. I was like, because I want something that will bring professionalism to what it is I do. I'm a former industrial sports medicine professional. I'm not a doctor, though. Mm-hmm. So if I get a PhD in kinesiology, I can legitimately call myself a doctor. And I have clients that I'll speak to them because they've taken their children to the sports medicine doctor, and then I'll come over to the house, and then they'll say, well, he had this, and this going on. I'll say, well, that's probably that. And they're like, that's the same thing the sports medicine doctor said. Same thing the orthopedic surgeon said. Yeah, because I started in massage therapy. Mm-hmm. So anatomy, physiology was a big part of that. And then I got my undergraduate in sports and health sciences with a concentration in exercise science. And I got my master's in exercise and nutrition science. So I understand how the body works a little bit more than the average person. So I'm not like every other trainer, but I'm still seen as a trainer because there's no category or no title or label for a trainer that has 3 master's degrees. But if I get a PhD in kinesiology, okay, I'm a doctor. Plain and simple. Mm-hmm. What it's in, they don't care. If I was a podiatrist, I'd still be a doctor. Mm-hmm. Then people would pay a little more attention to what I'm saying. But they see trainers as influencers. They got a lot of hype, not a whole lot of science. And if you don't watch it, you're going to end up hurting yourself trying to do what they do. And I want to be the exact opposite. Look, I'm a solid individual. What I'm telling you is backed in science, is supported. You can do this, and I can tell you what the outcome's going to be because science is observable, predictable, and repeatable. So when I have clients, I'm like, okay, how much do you look like the people that you're researching? You live in Tampa and you are 38 years old and you're reading research on a Finnish soccer team. They women, but they live in Finland and they are 19, 20, 21, and you are 38. Not going to get the same outcome. So I try to pair people with research that fits where they currently are. The sad thing is there's not a lot of research done on middle-aged people. There's no money involved. Middle-aged people aren't manning college teams or professional sports teams. So they're going to do the research on the people that are going to be playing that game or filling those roles.
Earlier, you mentioned something about pivoting. In business, when I'm learning, you got to pivot a lot. You got to fail a lot. You said you said something that what would you say? You're growing into failure. And failure is just natural. I forgot the terminology. I'm paraphrasing. You're fluent. Yeah, you're fluent. I was like, that was good. You're constantly pivoting and you're growing and developing. Now you're learning the science behind your business that you're doing, because now essentially you do market research, you do all these different things for your business to understand your ideal customers. When you are doing this, how do you pivot into your new business model, into Weightless Wellness Boutique?
Well, the good thing is there are incubators or accelerators in Augusta, and I connected with them, and it's made a world of difference because I don't feel like I'm by myself. Mm-hmm. Like I'm connecting with people who know people. So I have a pitch competition the 25th of this month, and the first pre-pitch competition I did in Georgia, I won. Now every pitch I did here, I failed. So that gave me knowledge to go to Georgia. First time up the bat, knocked it out, home run. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, well, it shouldn't be too much different from this one. But if I hadn't have gone out, so I'm really looking at trying to have a similar community and connection in Augusta as compared to the one I have in Tampa. And that's really what it is, meeting people who can point me in the right direction. Whether it's a resource, whether it's funding, whether it's, an incubator or accelerator, it's boiling down to who I know and who I put myself out there to meet. There's a famous Dr. Rice, David Rice. He says it's not about networking, it's about showing up. I said, look, I want to take showing up 101. If there's a class below that, sign me up for that one. Show up 98, whatever it is. Because it's going to be a new skill for me, and I'm going to have to practice before I become proficient at it.
When you say show up, like what do you mean? Like as far as
just get out there, go to events, find what's going on and put yourself in the middle of it.
But don't you already do that though?
Not up there.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
Tampa is my foundation.
Yeah,
like I was planted here, I grew here, so I can always come back.
Yeah,
because of how I felt. Like I felt empowered walking across the stage for the University of Tampa 3 times. I started, my college track debut was here at Tampa at age 45. So it's like, there's a lot of nostalgia and a lot of empowerment for me coming back to Tampa. So it seems like, I get all excited and giddy and people are like, it's just University of Tampa. What's the big deal? So much happened for me in this school. So I can't expect that to just all of a sudden exist in Augusta. I have to go out and do it. So it's easy for me to come back here. I always look forward to it. But I can't grow in Augusta if I don't plant. If I'm always running back to what's easy, well, I know it's familiar. I'm going back to UT. I'm gonna feel like I'm on top of the world with Failure's Knowledge and with the other incubators and entrepreneurs that are here. It is necessary to recharge every once in a while. But once I get recharged, I need to go to Georgia and do like you, be the actualizer. Do the work that's going to help move my business forward.
And that make a lot of sense now, because you earlier you mentioned something about the actualizer and I forgot the word you used, but the planner.
Yeah.
And now it makes sense, because now that you receive the information, it's good to receive it, but it's different to receive the information than go apply the information. Because one thing I've learned, even while in college, like the different classes, let's just say leadership class, I had what do you call it? International, something about leadership. And my professor, he was like, if you don't have people leading you, you're not a leader. Then I did a podcast and it was like, what do you think about leadership? I'm like, well, my professor said, if you don't have people leading you, you're not a leader. But I give you a different perspective. You have to lead yourself first before you can lead anybody. And when you start to do that, things start to make sense. The information that you're receiving, when you go apply it, now when people start to come on your team, you help them apply the information.
It's funny because I like self-governance. I like governance as a term, because leadership, I would say it's a specific ambiguity. And it's ambiguous because it means different things to different people. It's just one word, but you have all these. But when you think, especially guys who had a motorbike or a little go-kart, the governor controlled how much output you was going to get out of that engine, how fast this little vehicle was going to be able to go. And so when it comes to people, that's what's needed sometimes, something to help us govern ourselves, to control ourselves. And then when it comes to governance with other people, if I don't start with myself, I'm not, where are the reps to actually get through something so that someone wants to follow me? Someone wants me to lead them. But if all I'm doing is sitting around pontificating in my head about leadership principles, I never followed anybody. So I'm never going to be really qualified to lead someone or have somebody follow me. And if we just find out what that person's understanding of leadership is, get on the same page, and then we can start having a conversation. But too many times people are talking about leadership and somebody in the conversation is thinking of governance. Not all these high-level conversations of leaders, but the actual acts of restraint, manners, composure, empathy, the qualities that make someone worthy of following.
That, man, you got away with words, bro.
I'm trying.
That makes so much sense now, because I'm literally listening to this book. It's called Freedom, something about systems and like managing, not managing your team, but managing the system so your team can manage the systems. And he says something on the lines of that, but what he just said, you just made it make sense. And man, you got away with words.
I listen to those. Like people are like, you're not going to organize your life with to-do lists. You need systems. Mm-hmm. You're doing these independent activities, and activities or actions won't change you. Habits and systems will. Now, the acts may contribute to you making it a habit, but if you're just random, nothing is structured. Systems are structured, and guess what? When you're not there, the system still works. Mm-hmm. So I'm listening because I'm deficient in that area. So I don't watch cat videos. I don't watch, whatever's crazy going on TikTok. I go to YouTube and listen to these audiobooks on systems. How if you set systems, you're going to have a much easier time organizing your life and your team.
And I definitely see the difference between that. So we got one last segment, and it's called Best for Last. It's when I ask you 4 questions and you answer within 30 seconds. You ready? Mm-hmm. So question number 1, what are you grateful for?
Oh, man. Today, I'm grateful I met you in Atlanta. and I was able to see you on social media, predominantly LinkedIn, actually doing the work. Because if I feel I can do something or I feel I can't, either way, I'm going to be correct. But when I look at somebody like me, that looks like me, that's had some experience in the military, that's hungry and is actually out there working and doing it, regardless of how it may turn out, you're getting practice. And like you said, you're getting knowledge if it just so happens to be a failure.
That is true. That is true. Question number 2, what do you have any regrets?
Yeah. I can be obstinate or bullheaded, depending on if you talk to my sister-in-law or my mother. But sometimes I look back and I regret being so dogmatic and locked into something. So now I've learned to be a little more empathetic with people, with situations, and try to be objective. Let's take my opinion out of it. Let's grow up. So I would sum it up by saying I regret not adulting for all the time I was an adult. I'm 55 and I'm just realizing that, I got to do some things to qualify as an adult. And it takes work. And I feel I should just get it. I should be grandfathered in. It's like, no, dude, you got to do the process. So if I hadn't have been so, dogmatic and locked in and stubborn, I could have grown a lot sooner.
I'm 27, and every day I learn. And you're 55, and I'm assuming every day you learn as well. So question number 3, what is your biggest lesson while working at Weightless Wellness Boutique?
The biggest lesson I've learned is people may not understand what it is. So I have to work on making it not this new thing. Because if you look at athletes like wrestlers and gymnasts, they don't necessarily deal with weights during their practices, but they're engaged in weight-bearing activities, leveraging their own body, counterbalancing the weight of their opponent. And so putting it in a way that it doesn't seem so foreign to people, that's what I want to do.
Wow. Okay. Founder. I said while being a founder of Weightless Wellness Boutique. And then last question, what does failure is knowledge mean to you?
Oh man, it means I'm gonna have a great day. If I learn to extract the knowledge from that failed attempt, because I can fail to win. See what I'm saying? I can fail, and because I fail, I can win. So my failing is to help me to win. And too many people think that failing is final. It's like, no. So when I see someone that has embraced that and said, look, this is going to be my mission to help other people understand that you're not going to succeed first at your first attempt. And when we were kids, they would say, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And then in entrepreneurship, they say fail fast and fail frequently. And the person does that and they're like, this sucks. But they don't understand they're failing to get the knowledge of what didn't work. If it doesn't work, then stop. The sooner you can stop doing it, the sooner you can stop wasting money, wasting other people's efforts and resources. So I think it's a hack, really. If people can embrace it, and I don't like hack because, when somebody's computer gets hacked, they don't feel great. It's a tip that if they embrace it sooner, they can start to move forward quicker.
Okay, Karlton, man, this has been great. How can people learn more about you? How can they learn more about Weightless Wellness Boutique? How can they get connected with you?
They can find me on LinkedIn, Karlton Meadows with a K. They can find me on Instagram. Sometimes, same thing, Karlton Meadows with a K. The Weightless Wellness is registered in the state of Georgia, so I'm after the pitch competition, I'll have some things in place where they can reach me through a website. But cell phone number is 813-476-3472.
Man, this has been great. So before we end, I like to what I recently started doing is end the episode with a quote. So I'm gonna go first, and it's don't be afraid to fail, because failure is knowledge, and you never know what this failure is going to teach you.
And I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna kind of land back on it. It's a quote that I heard. It was an adage. If at first
you gotta be yours. You gotta be your quote.
Mine.
You gotta be your quote.
It's one of my quotes. Don't let the minimum requirement become your maximum
effort. Stop recording. That was good, bro. Karlton, again, thank you for coming on to the Face Knowledge Podcast. What was your biggest takeaway by being on the podcast?
My biggest takeaway was actually seeing you in your element and to know that it's not scripted. I mean, it's inside of you. You have been doing this for long enough of a time to make it a part of you. So to actually be in the environment as you're guiding this experience, that was empowering. That to know that this isn't something that you're just doing. I mean, you're passionate about it and you're proficient. So that was huge for me from just seeing you on LinkedIn, but to actually get to experience it. It's life-changing.
I appreciate that. The last question for someone that's hesitant to come on to the Face Knowledge Podcast, what is one piece of advice that you can give to them?
I would say as soon as you can, take advantage of the opportunity, because I have seen Arnold Schwarzenegger and Michael Jordan talk about what you live. Failure is knowledge. But too many people are afraid to try because they think they're going to fail. But if they come on the Failure is Knowledge podcast, they can borrow some of your brand equity, get the experience, and realize that it ain't the end of the world if something doesn't go right the first time around. Extract the knowledge from it and then keep moving forward. So I would encourage them to get on the podcast as soon as possible.